darkness made her feel even more uneasy. Calm down, she thought, as she started toward the back door of her unit. She knew there was another light there, and she would soon be safely inside. Chrissy gasped as she heard movement to her left. "All right, Chrissy, stop being a little girl afraid of the dark. Probably just a cat," she thought, and started to turn back to her right. The yard seemed too dark to her, matching the darkest corners of her mind where her fears lived. The blow to the back of her head came suddenly. It stunned her, and she dropped to her knees, her head swimming with pain and confusion. A second blow rendered her unconscious, and she fell to the ground. A voice came from the darkness. "If you thought you were safe, you were wrong. No one is safe from me." The shadow reached under her arms and pulled her back into the garage. He flipped on a small light on a workbench and began to go to work. He rolled her onto her stomach and reached into his backpack and pulled out a roll of duct tape and a pair of shears like the EMTs carried to remove clothing. He bound Christina's ankles and wrists behind her back and taped over her eyes and mouth. Confident his prey was secure, the shadow began to cut off her clothing. Christina awakened to cold. She realized she was naked, and she couldn't move or see. She tried to speak, but there was tape over her mouth. She panicked and almost threw up in her mouth. She began to struggle against her bonds, but soon realized it was futile. She heard a voice from behind her. It was quiet, yet demanding. "Oh, I see you're back with us. Good. It's not nearly as much fun for me if you don't wake up. Now, Chrissy, this is how it's going to be. You will submit to me, or you will die. Personally, I don't care. I'm going to have you alive or dead. It's your choice." He picked up the shears and used the pointed tip to trace a heart on her right butt cheek. She winced and pulled away from the pressure. He knew this wouldn't leave a mark. He wanted her fear. This wasn't about sex for him. It was about control and domination. "Chrissy, I have a knife here. It is very sharp. I sharpened it especially with you in mind. Now, as I said, you can submit, or I can cut you up while you are still alive. Certainly not an attractive alternative for you. So, will you submit?" She was panicked. She did not want to give in to this animal, but with her only other choice being a painful death, she gave in. She nodded her head. "Good, Chrissy." She felt like he was praising a dog. She heard him undo his pants, and then felt him kneel behind her. He pulled her hips up and entered her roughly from behind. She started to pull away from the pain, and he slapped her hard across her back and said, "Submit." She squeezed her eyes shut tight, but the tears still found a way to leak out. Quietly, she prayed for rescue, for salvation, for survival. After he was finished, she could hear him fastening his clothes. "Chrissy, you were a good girl. You just stay there, and your roommate will be home in a few hours." She heard him go out the side door, and it closed quietly. Christina lay there for a while, thankful she was alive, but humiliated beyond reason. She was angry and ashamed, and so many other things. She thought about what she should do next, and whether she would call the police when she got free. Wait a minute. He knew my name. He knew about my roommate and when she comes home. How did he know so much about me? When her roommate came home and discovered Christina, she quickly cut her free and called the police. Lieutenant North snapped back to reality as the dispatcher came on the air. "Unit 2, Adam 14, a 261 occurred 2 hours ago." He used his computer in the car to put himself on the dispatch. As he scanned the call and read the narrative, he became angry. "You son of a bitch!" he screamed, as he began striking the steering wheel with his hands. "One of these days your luck will run out, and I will be there." He put his car in gear and started driving to the call. Christina didn't know the officers who arrived, and thankfully, the officer she knew from the coffee shop was not there. She did not want him to see her like this, and was grateful for his absence. She was seated in her living room. Police officers seemed to be everywhere, making notes, taking photographs, and occasionally asking her questions. She noticed an older officer